Life is full of work and stress. Parenting can be a mess. Being a woman is hard enough without adding on that extra stuff. We'll cover topics of every kind. Helpful resources we will find. We'll even drink a bottle of wine. Join us. It will be a real good time.
Hi, I'm Amanda,
And I'm Nikki,
and welcome to Working Mom's Wine, where we drink a bottle of wine.
and we whine about our crazy, busy, stressful working mommy lives, and then try to help with resources along the way based on whatever topic we're discussing.
We did it.
We did it in one take.
So I don't know. I know I have a Christmas wine glass. I don't know where it is or what happened to it, but I found comfort socks.
Ooh, look at those.
It says
Those
comfort
are
down there. I
cute.
think my light's in the way. So close enough. And I got this guy out. So,
I
my
have a Christmas wine glass, but tonight I opted for a plain one that can go in my dishwasher because feeling lazy. I did a lot
that's
of
fair.
dishes today.
Our mom bought these for our daughters, and I said I have to have one too. So tonight we are again recording from different spots. I have a wine that I was saving back, but I want to save it for when we're together. So last night, when Brandon was on his way home, I said, "Why don't you stop at the gas station and get us something to drink, and then you can just grab me a random bottle of wine for when we record." And he said, "Okay, what do you want?" And I said, "Whatever you want is fine with me." And then he stops at a gas station, and I kid you not, they had like 3 or 4 different kinds of wine, and that was it. It was like
Mm,
2 or 3 versions of Arbor Mist, and then like 3 versions of Barefoot.
barefoot.
So I ended up with the red Moscato, which is fine. It's fine. But what I find hilarious on here is it says that it's a great value, not what you want to see on your wine. It says it won 2016 Ultimate Wine, the 2016 Ultimate Wine Challenge, and it's like the great value is the award. So they were like, well, it's
Mm.
good value for the money, I guess.
I had this conversation with an ex who drank the Franzia boxed wine, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Is it cheap? Yeah. Can you get
Okay.
drunk from it? Sure. Will it take a lot more of it to get you drunk than a better, more expensive wine? Yes. So in the
We
long run, it is better to buy the more expensive thing that has the higher alcohol content and tastes better and is better made, you know.
Yeah. That's the
But
thing. When I was in a wine
you
club,
do
that
what
was
you
one of the
can, you know?
things that I picked up on was the cheaper wines because of the way that they are made. That's why you often wake up the next day feeling like you have a cold or whatever. Unless you just drink 3 bottles.
Yeah,
But
it's the
the
extra stuff, the
process,
sugar, the
right. But yeah, even how they do everything with the tannins, the way that they do all of that can impact it. So
yeah,
I feel a little spoiled.
100%.
Are you drinking your usual?
I am. I'm drinking the Bada Box Nighthawk Cabernet Sauvignon Bold.
Ooh, it's bold. Bold wine for bold women.
That's right. I'm so bold.
Well, in keeping with our new format, we're going to try and keep this around 20 minutes for you guys. But we were trying to think about what to whine about tonight, and Nikki had something ready to go. And I said, you know what? I can relate to this situation. So why don't you start us
Mhm.
off?
Appliance issues with your appliances. So this evening, I was cooking on my stovetop, which is a rare occurrence, let's just say it. And
Is that why it malfunctions when you cook on it? Because you just don't start it up? Like a
perhaps,
car that you don't start up forever?
right. So I started up a burner I don't typically use because I was using a bigger pot than normal. And I dumped the stuff in and I'm just sitting there watching TikToks on my phone, waiting for it to like heat up and stuff.
Rip.
And I start hearing this like sizzling, zappy kind of noise. And so at first I thought it was coming from the burner, like maybe there was something wet between the pot and the burner and it was doing that thing, you know. So I picked up the pot, made sure it was dry, there were no spots on the burner, and I'm like, okay. So I put it back down and I went back to my phone, and then I heard it again. And I was like, that sounds like it's coming from the control panel on my oven. So I turned off my TikToks and started paying attention. And sure enough, it sounds like it's coming from the knob that you turn to turn the burner off and on. I have a electric glass top stove. So I turned it off, and I took all this crap that's sitting on my stove. Like I have this coffee mug that sits on the back that holds this funny Toy Story spatula set, and I have one of those little spoon rest dishes and little towels. I took all that stuff off, and I scooted the oven away from the wall just to make sure there was nothing going on down there. Took lots of pictures, nothing. But as I'm leaning back to like take those photos, I smell something that smells like electrical burning kind of smell, like a rubbery burning kind of smell. And I was like, uh-oh. So I'm looking behind, there's nothing there. And then I realize it's coming from the side of the back panel, which is right where the knob is, because it was a knob on the end. So I
think
lean
you're
back
very
behind.
brave to have kept putting your face back there.
I was trying to figure out if I was really smelling like the electric burning smell or not, or if it was my brain playing tricks on me, you know. So I'm like, okay, that definitely smells wrong. And I listened for the zap and I could hear it coming from inside there. So I turn the burner off and I go to my two trusty burners on the other side of the stove, and no issues there. I cooked the rest of the meal. Everything was fine. Okay. So I took the knob off of the burner that was the offending burner. So I would remember not to use it, because if I leave the knob on there, I'll totally forget and I'll do it again. So I pulled the knob off. And then I started getting annoyed because the things you never think about, right? So when I moved into this place, I was fresh on separation from a 10 plus year marriage. And we had just bought this beautiful refrigerator that I wanted so much, that had this special pocket door and everything. So when we moved, I moved into my own place and my ex moved into an apartment. So he couldn't really take much with him. So I took our beautiful fancy new fridge, but I didn't measure before. And it sticks out like a good this much amount from the counter, like, and I have a galley kitchen with only one side open. So needless to say, to open the fridge, I kind of have to do this from the oven, and like it's a whole thing. So I start thinking to myself, I need a new oven. How will I get the old one out? Because my fridge comes so much further now than the fridge that this condo came with. Like, I started measuring, and sure enough, even with taking the handles off, it will be an interesting feat to get that oven out of there. And then I start looking at new ovens that they're offering now, and they're at least 1 to 2 inches wider, like deeper than the oven I have now. So I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna happen. I don't know if it'll work.
I have a solution.
Okay.
All you need to do is get an air fryer and a Instapot and
a Ninja toaster oven.
Yeah,
I thought about that.
All of those things, and put them on top of the oven and just never use the oven again, and cook everything in those appliances that sit on your oven.
Well, there is the point that one, I don't cook that much to begin with.
I mean, that's fair.
2, I have an air fryer because a lot of the things I cook are cookable in an air fryer. And the oven part still works fine. There's no issues there. Like, we bake cookies, there was no problem.
Yeah.
It's just that one burner. So
I mean, really, as long as you don't use that burner.
I
don't know. What if you use another burner?
There? I don't know.
Right. So here's my question. How did you get the fridge in?
Well,
oh no.
That was quite a feat. We didn't realize how big it was. So my, at the time, boyfriend and Hannah's at the time husband had to pretty much dismantle it to get it in there. They had to take the handles off and then the doors off, and the doors had electrical through them, so they had to like disconnect a bunch of wires.
Oh my
It was a
gosh.
whole deal. And they had to bring it through the front door because it wouldn't even fit through the patio door. Like, it was awful. So
It fit through
pretty
your front
much,
door and not your patio door?
pretty much once it was in there, it was in there. And they were like, hope you move before this fridge dies, because
Why
yikes.
don't you just go ahead and sell?
The thought has crossed my mind.
Well, the reason I suggested taking all of those appliances and putting them on top of the oven is that's because that's exactly what I had to do about 5 Thanksgivings ago at this point. I don't know how long we had been in that other house, but everything went out at the same time.
This isn't the last house, but the one before it?
It's the last house.
Oh, the last one. Okay.
Yeah.
Just so I can picture it.
I know. I'm trying to remember what went out first. So the water heater had gone out. And you know, I have at least 3 children at this point, depending on exactly what year it happened in, that need to take baths. And we're not going to do that in cold water because they're all young and they're not going to want to do it. So I'm at the point where I'm boiling water on the stove and dumping it into the tub, and they're all having to take baths and share the water and whatever else. And then the oven quit working. And this was right when we were doing Thanksgiving dinner at my house. So the oven wasn't working. The water heater wasn't working. I could no longer boil water on the oven.
This is why you guys should join us in Financial February, where we talk about emergency funds.
Yeah. Because I did not have those. And it's a holiday, so it's like, how are you going to get... We did find a guy who came out like during Thanksgiving.
Wow.
I feel like I
bet that upcharge was significant.
I know, it probably was. What's funny though is, I know what I'm thinking about. So like when the guy came out to fix the water tank, he also suggested, he upsold us on a whole house filtration system because the water out here is not good. And we already had one that helped with the drinking water, but he pointed out like, hey, this will run through your coffee maker and your appliances and whatever, and that water will eventually ruin those things as well. So I was like, okay, it wasn't that much. Like, yeah, let's add it on. We're already opening a line of credit to do all of these things because I don't have an emergency fund. But it was just really interesting trying to get through the Thanksgiving preparations with all of this going on. But luckily, I had a 3 crock pot and a regular crock pot. But you have crock pots. I was going to say, you need to add that to your list. And I had a roaster to put the turkey in. And we not only got through all of that without the oven, but I survived for quite a bit longer without the oven because I could do anything except make cookies. There's like cookies and one other thing that it's like you can't really do that without an oven. But it wasn't anything important. Yeah. So then we'll add this pizza on. Yeah. I had friends that were selling their old oven, and what I didn't realize, it was kind of an up close picture, but even like looking at it, if you guys know what the little 2-part ovens look like, I should have known better. They were selling one of those 2 parts on the little stacky ovens. And I did not realize that it was not just an oven. And I was like, oh, I'll buy that from you. And they brought it out to my house. And they showed up, and I was at work, and Brandon was there, and he sends me this picture of the little stacky oven sitting where a normal size oven goes. It did not look normal, obviously. And he's like, did you know that this was the kind of oven you were getting? And I was just like, no, but maybe we can make it work. We didn't. We couldn't make it work. It's, unless your house is built for it, you can't do it that way. So they had to come back out later and take it back, and I felt really bad. That was super embarrassing. But then we finally got an oven and everything was fine. But when one thing breaks in your house, 3 other things are going to break. Just keep that in mind.
So true. Yeah, this is part of a series because the other day my sewer backed up into my floor drain in the basement.
That's right.
And I had to have Roto-Rooter come out. And I waited till midnight for them to show up. So that was cool. Even though I made a 6 p.m. appointment. Yeah, that was great.
I remember that drama.
And I kind of wanted to like reschedule them, but the next day was my birthday. And I was like, do I really want to mess with this on my birthday?
No.
No. And and at this point, I've prepped my child that this might wake her up in the middle of the night. It's a school night. I've, cleared the way for the machine to get down the stairs. I've done all of the things, and I'm like, do I want to go another night where I'm not sure if I can flush my toilet, where I've already mopped my floor twice and I don't want to do it again? Like, I called them. Oh, we're running behind. Oh, so first I make the appointment online because this place is like the place that services my city. They have like a special deal with the county and everything. So I make the appointment online. I use my name and my phone number and my email address. I get an email confirmation about the appointment, but the email confirmation gives my ex's name and phone number. And I'm like, that is not what I used to fill out your form. So I immediately call them, which is just like, I don't call people. So this was.
If you're getting a call from Nikki, it's an emergency.
I said, excuse me, that is not the name or phone number that I made this appointment with. And he no longer lives here. And I do not want him bothered with this information because I do not then want to have to contact, So
Right.
the lady says, I'm so sorry. We'll change this right away. This is at like 4:00 in the afternoon on that day. Let me get your name and your phone number. I'll make sure you're marked as the person and this is removed. Cool. The appointment's made to be that they arrive between 6 and 8 p.m. So I arrange with my co-parent, because it's a night that my child is at his house and I'm supposed to go pick her up at 8 o'clock, that he does both the commutes that day and I'll take both the commutes on the weekend to make up for it. All that to happen and them to still not have arrived. So
you should have known that when they gave you a 2-hour window,
the 6 to 8,
that there was a problem.
I figured it would be later. But not freaking midnight.
Yeah.
So 8 o'clock comes, co-parent brings the kiddo home. I tell her what's going on. I get her all ready for bed and into bed. I still haven't heard from them. And then suddenly, I get a text from my ex. I just got this text message for you from Roto-Rooter. They're running behind. Cool. So then I call them and I say, hey, I called earlier to have the information changed, and you obviously did not change it because the person I did not want to be notified about this was notified about this. And, for me, not a big deal, slightly annoying. But let's take a step back and think about women who have escaped abusive relationships and don't want people to have information about where they're living or what their phone number is or when they're expecting services of some kind.
Right.
So I'm livid. And this is not the first company that I've had this issue with this particular ex, where they claim they've changed all the information and they have not.
Especially when it comes to recurring subscriptions.
Yes. So then I call him and I'm like, checking to see where you guys are. And the customer service has to send me to the local office, who has to send me to the dispatcher, who then tells me, oh, we're running behind. I said, do you have an estimate? Like an hour behind, 2 hours behind? What are we talking here? And he's like, there's no way to know. They've just run into a situation and they have to stay until they figure it out. And I'm like, okay. Well, I'm not getting your text updates because while I called this afternoon and updated the phone number and had a person's number removed, you guys didn't actually do it. So he's getting all the text alerts and it's like late at night. And he's a person that works a job where you wake up at like 5 a.m. to get there. So I told him to block your number. I just want to tell you guys I'm not getting your updates. So please call me instead of texting. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We will. Did they? No.
No. They hung up
9
and
o'clock
probably
rolls
said
around.
rude things about you and did what
10
they wanted.
o'clock rolls around. 10:30 rolls around. 11, 11:30. And at this... Sorry, my Alexa started talking to me. At this point...
It's time
I'm getting
for
ready
the
to call and
Overlord
cancel.
invasion.
I've called like 3 times. Where are they? Are they on the way yet? You're next. I swear you're the only person on the board. Blah, blah, blah. So finally, at 11:30, I call to cancel, and they go, "Oh, he marked himself at your place like an hour ago." I said, "Well, he's definitely not here yet at all. Like, I'm looking at both parking lots, front and back. There's nobody here."
Yeah.
So they say, "Let us call him and check in with him." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So as I hang up the phone, he pulls into the back parking lot and parks. So they call me back and they said, "Oh, he said he was just pulling in. He just marked that he was like on the way. I guess they misunderstood it or something. Whatever the excuse is." So so he pulls in the parking lot and I see the van. So I'm like, "Okay, cool. He's here." Took him another 20 minutes to get out of the van and come inside.
I wonder
And
why
I'm
he's
just
running so
like,
behind.
he was very polite and very kind. And I just wanted to get it over with at this point. So I was just like, whatever,
Yeah.
do it. So, I live in a condo. I share walls with people. This is not a quiet service to have your pipes cleared.
Well, for the trying to be helpful portion, we thought we'd just give you a couple quick tips. Obviously, we've already talked about trying to have funds, emergency funds, regular maintenance funds, things like that. But we all know that we're not always able to be in that situation. So when you do find yourself at a loss and in immediate need of an appliance, my recommendation is to look at floor models or go to places that refurbish things. We actually got quite a few of our washers and dryers when we first got married. I make it sound like we ran through them, but we really only did it like a couple of times. But we would get them from a place that refurbished things. So I would look for one that's got a good reputation to make sure they're properly refurbishing them. But you can usually get them for, well, I always got them for under $100 each, but that was like years ago. So might be a little more than that, but even if you go into a store,
Excuse me.
even if you go into a store and they have a floor model or they have something that got dented or scratched, they'll throw a discount on there. So you can keep that in mind too. But Nikki found a cool little app so that when
Yeah,
you do
so
have to spend money, you can see where that money's going.
yeah. Look at my fun pop socket.
Oh, what does that
It
say?
says,
I
"I
will
will
never
never
get
get
over
over
this.
this." And
You
it's
should have
got the
just shown
Disney
that to the
castle.
Roto-Rooter dude.
I will never get over this. So when you do have to spend your money, and this is anywhere at stores, and you want to know in this climate what political party or person your brand or company has been giving bukus of dollars to, there's an app to help you figure that out. So maybe you're considering Home Depot versus Lowe's, and you're like, "I want someone who supported this party versus that party." There's an app for that. It's called GUU, Debate, Politics, and Shop.
Does it
It's
speak to
called
like
the
companies that support?
GUU. Yeah, GUU stands for Goods Unite Us. And
Okay.
this is what it looks like in the Apple.
Is that a microphone?
Yeah, it's a microphone on a blue square.
Okay. So would it also tell you like if they did or did not support like certain social issues?
I don't think it tells you that much. Let me see.
I mean, like you could infer some of that through party anyway,
Yeah, it
but
gives you a percentage of like Democrat versus Republican.
mm-hmm.
Combined contribution level is minimal, campaign finance reform score, and then like other brands that are similar and where they stand. And you can
Interesting.
request certain brands be rated. There's a section, like a message board, where you can debate about it.
I might
So there's
just go like get a bag
and
of
a
popcorn and go
blog.
watch the message board.
I mean, you're not wrong. But it's a great way to see if you have to spend a lot of money, do you want to give it to a company that supports this versus that?
Yeah.
A lot of people are really starting to pay more attention to mindfully spending their money
Yeah.
at places that support what they support.
Right.
So it's just something to check out if you're interested in that kind of thing.
I think that's a pretty cool resource.
Yeah, I downloaded it. I haven't used it much yet because busy, but it is nice to have and to know that it's there. And I will look at it for this oven purchase.
For today's ending story, Nikki's got a pretty good one. That's holiday themed.
We had, if you can't tell from my shirt,
Oh, it's the Disney Mickey.
yeah, and my little Christmas tree that has Mickey heads on it and a Mickey star on top.
I love it.
And I brought earrings to wear, but realized I couldn't wear them with my headphones. Um, so today Ari's school had donuts with Santa. And it's this cool thing that the PTO does where you can go and you can have donuts, and a local pottery place comes so you can like paint pottery that they'll take and glaze for you and bring back or whatever. And there's like a Build-A-Bear that shows up and a few crafts you can do, and then you get your picture with Santa. And she told me she definitely wanted to do it, so we signed up for it. We got a time slot for our photo. We got all dressed up this morning, and we show up at the school, and as soon as we get to the school, she's like, do I have to take a picture with Santa? And I was like,
Yes, child.
Do you have to? No, but did I pay for one already and want you to? Yeah, that's why we're here. That's the whole point of this, is to say hi to Santa. And I asked her specifically if she still wanted to do it this year because she knows, make sure your kids aren't around.
This is your warning.
Right. She knows that Santa isn't real. Like we've had that talk this year. So
right.
Like, is there a point in going to sit on Santa's lap when you know the truth? I don't know. It's still fun to me, I think, and makes a nice picture. And I said, I still want a festive holiday cute little picture of you in your outfit with Santa. And she was like, okay, if I have to. So then we did, we showed up a little early for our time slot. So we did all the other stuff first. We painted the ornament. We went to get donuts. She doesn't want any of the donuts. I don't like donuts. They're either too sugary, or if they don't have the sugar on them, then they're too dry. And I'm like, okay, so what? I paid for breakfast donuts with Santa, and you don't want a picture with Santa or the donut. Okay, cool. So she wants to paint the pottery. That cost extra. She wants to do the Build-A-Bear. That cost extra. Like, what are we here for? So we do the scavenger hunt, and she gets an extra point for her house color, and there's other crafts and things to do and games to play. So we did all that. And a couple times I tried to get her in line for Santa, and she really was like, she'd get very quiet. She's a pretty outgoing child most of the time. But when she is shy about something, she goes full turtle mode, like into the shell. Don't want to talk about it. Nothing. Not comfortable. And I was a very shy child who had a lot of, I don't know if you want to call it paranoia, but I didn't want to eat inside the McDonald's because I thought people were looking at me. I didn't want to talk to people I didn't know. It all made me uncomfortable. I didn't want to do things that I'd never done before because I was so anxious about how it would work, where you would park, how you would get there, who you have to talk to, how do you know you go in the right building, seeing a new doctor, like it's a nightmare.
I'm still that way sometimes.
I'm definitely still that way, even worse. So we got into the line, and she was like, I don't want to do this. Do I have to do this? I don't want to do this. And I was like, why? She told me, because I don't want him to talk to me. I said, okay, what happened last time? And she said, well, I climbed up in the sleigh, and it looks like there's room to sit next to him, but I guess there's really not. And she's like, I had to sit on his knee, and I don't know who he is. And he was asking me all these questions, and I don't want to talk to somebody I don't know. And it was all very like stranger danger.
Yeah.
Kind of. And I'm like, I get that. And I said, I'm not going to make you do it. I'm not going to make you go stand in line and sit on someone's lap you don't know and say things you don't feel comfortable saying. But you should know that this is just a kind thing that like a volunteer does. And he just asks you what he thinks Santa would ask you. Are you on the nice list? What do you want for Christmas? We can practice ahead of time what you would say to those questions.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything at all. You can just smile shyly and they won't think anything of it. Like I said, I can even walk up there with you and help you get in, and then make them take the picture and tell them you don't want to talk to him.
Next year, just have her wear a shirt that says, "Don't talk to me." And she doesn't get in the sleigh. She stands beside it with her back to him, arms crossed, and then you still get your sandwich.
Yeah. So we got in the line no less than 3 times. And
Oh my gosh.
she was like, no. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to force you. We did plenty of other things. It's fine. We left. And so she keeps saying on the way out, maybe next year I'll do it. Maybe next year. And I'm like, okay.
That's funny.
But I was like, the one part of it that I had to prepay for, we didn't do. But I spent another $60 on the other stuff.
Well, as always, thanks for joining us. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok while it still exists, Spotify,
Find us on YouTube.
workingmomswine.com.
That's the best.
Yeah. Patreon.com/workingmomswine. We will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.